What's up, gorgeous? Welcome back to another episode of Addiction and Relationships with your host, Heidi Rain. It's me. No, this is not blood on my hands. If you see this red that's happening, you can realize it looks like I've been digging in the dirt. Like, I took a hostage. This is manic panic. I've I like the color of the vampire red manic panic, and so I've got it in my hair and I don't wash it quite all the way out at first. I let it like simmer in there. And hopefully, when I go to the gym and I sweat, it doesn't because that's kind of embarrassing, right? Like you're at the gym and you're working out and all of a sudden you look like Jesus. You got like an invisible thorn of crowns and your red hair from your panic starts leaking down your face. And they're like, oh my God, is this the second coming? And you're like, no, it's my hair dye. Anyway, I digress because I want to talk to you today about something so important. I mean, like I say, everything I talk about is so important, but the holidays are here. How did you do? How did you do at Thanksgiving? Did you survive? Did you have a bunch of people over or did you avoid things altogether? I mean, what did you do? Because right now, Christmas is right around the corner. And I wanted to spend some time today to talk to you about tips for toxicity, specifically dealing with really toxic people in your life, whether that is somebody that's addicted, narcissistic, dysfunctional, out to lunch, left to center, not the sharpest tool in the shed, a slice short of a loaf, any number of those things. I'm here to help you today with some tips, and that they all involve this idea of you rooting down like a tree. Okay, so I want you to picture your favorite tree as we go through this analogy today. Mine happens to be a willow tree. I think they're so beautiful. I love how they're rooted, but the willow tree, there's something about it in a storm in particular. Its ability to it's beautiful. If you see a willow tree in a storm, it's just like it's moving with the wind. It looks like it's doing a dance. If you see it on a serene day by a lake, it just invites you, doesn't it, to just hang a swing? Doesn't it just beg for a swing and for your little feet to be dangling above some kind of pond or some body of water? In my mind, it does. So I'm going to picture a willow tree, but you can do an oak, you can do any kind of tree that you possibly want, as long as it's firmly rooted. And today we're really only going to talk about the three roots that you need to plant if you're going to deal with toxic over this holiday season. And I'm going to riff on each one and talk to you about exactly what I mean by that and why it's so important that you're rooted down. Because listen, at the end of the day, if you're anything like me, I grew up in such a dysfunctional environment, also a beautiful environment. Many times it was wonderful and marvelous and amazing. And the holidays were such a time where I'm going to shut my door because my dog's barking. Okay. Wow, flying debris, flying notes. The holidays are such a time where every year, like I would just imagine this perfect time, like a Hallmark. You have to watch the Hallmark movies and the Hallmark Channel. And always like, I grew up in a really small town called Greensboro, Pennsylvania, which is like the tiniest. It's not even on the map, I don't think, in most places. It's like 250 people live in this town. It is a magical, magical place, especially when I was younger, where Christmas was like sledding down hills. And I have such wonderful memories as a kid, but I also have harder memories as I grew up and I started to look around and see the reality of the situation that was going on. My dad, as the holidays progressed, he was an alcoholic. And holidays would get weirder or more difficult. It's just like you just pray every holiday. You're like, man, this please stay sober this holiday. Let's not have an episode. Please just don't like fall into the tree. Don't like, do something crazy with the presents. Don't pretend to be Santa and fall off the roof. Any number of things that could go wrong in an addicted family dynamic. Or, your crazy uncles that are going to get a little left to center and be inappropriate. I mean, for me, there was a lot going on. And when you grow up in an addicted environment, it's like a loose cannon. You never quite know what's going to happen. And so as a kid, you kind of you can ignore it to the best of your ability, right? Because you're focused on Santa and you're focused on presents. I mean, greedy little people kids that we are. Like, what am I going to get? But as you get older, you start to shift that focus more to family time. You have visions. Certainly I did, of like sitting around a fireplace and just the fantasy of it. So we're going to talk today about how Most of us that are surrounded by narcissist or addiction or dysfunction, we have those high hopes every single holiday, and then it just ends in tragedy. Somebody's yelling at somebody at the table, somebody's nodding out, somebody's showing up effed up, somebody's, taking the whole Christmas and just like ruining it, canceling Christmas at the last minute. You think everybody's going to have a Christmas, and all of a sudden, somebody's like gets their panties in a bunch. It's like Christmas is canceled, and you're like, oh, what are we going to do? We're halfway to the house. I mean, these things happen. So, what are the roots? How can you protect yourself this holiday season and make sure that no matter what the hell is going on around you, that you are able to maintain that magical Christmas spirit inside of your soul and psyche? Okay. How are you going to do that? Well, the first thing that you need to root down in order for you to have a magical Christmas, magical holiday, you got to root down in your reality, the reality of the situation. And I know that's tough. So basically, what I'm asking you is stop fantasizing and romanticizing that this is going to be the year that dad doesn't fall into the tree, that this is going to be the year that your kid comes home and they're sober and they stay sober the whole time and they don't disappear up into the bathroom and do some crazy business. This is going to be the year that you don't have to worry about people, your husband going 5 sheets tank down the road, getting in the car, holding him down to the bar and doing something ridiculous. This is going to be the year. Listen, he will try to get behind the car, behind the wheel. He will get too drunk. Your child will show up and disappear into the bathroom. These things are going to happen. How do I know this? Because you're dealing with an addicted family dysfunctional dynamic, and all of the fantasizing and romanticizing is not a protective mechanism for you at all. It's a road to disappointment. So here you are, you set your hopes up. You're like, oh, this is going to be the time, and then and everybody's going to get along this year. And at the table, and you picture the beautiful Christmas dinner, you have like, oh, and so is going to be here, and they haven't been here for a long time, but it's going to be great. And everybody's going to be around, and we're going to have this magical time. And then we're going to bake cookies, and you're planning the whole damn thing. And I'm here to tell you, by the end of that dinner, your crazy uncle is going to lunge across that table and grab somebody by the neck. Or maybe it's not that dysfunctional. Okay, maybe you're a highbrow dysfunction. All right, this is lowbrow dysfunction where we like throw potatoes and sling potatoes and shit and choke each other across the table. But let's say that you grew up with money. You know what I mean? So like you have a higher level of dysfunction. You know what I mean? You're not slinging potatoes, but you're slinging sharp, razor sharp words at each other, and you're giving the little digs, and you're using your intelligence as weapon and not your spoon and your potatoes. It's all the same at the end of the day, whether it's, comes like highbrow dysfunction or lowbrow dysfunction. What is the end? I'm making myself laugh. What is the end result? It's a shit show, whether it's a shit show with money or a shit show without money. Okay. So, what I want you to do is to be steeped in reality. And you need to believe damn well that your crazy uncle is going to say that thing, or so and so is going to get their feelings hurt, or something bad is going to happen. And you need to stop fantasizing and romanticizing that it's going to be a Hallmark card and understand that it ain't, no matter how hard you try. But this is great news. Well, Heidi, thanks. Great. You're just telling me now, you're just like you're telling me Santa's not real. How dare you? You're telling me stop believing in the magic of Christmas. You're a jerk, Heidi. I don't like this conversation. Well, guess what? Reality is empowering. Reality is a great position to be in to make some decisions and some moves to protect your peace and your sanity. So I want you to go in knowing, if my child that is struggling with addiction, if I invite them to Christmas, what am I going to do when they go to the bathroom and disappear? If I invite my dysfunctional narcissistic TT over, what am I going to do when the shit hits the fan and my aunt starts acting crazy? How am I going to react? Not that I'm not going to expect it not to happen, because as soon as it does happen, what happens to you? You're like, oh, there we go again. Had all my hopes up. Well, that's your fault. You've got to be steeped in reality and know that this is happening. So don't think for 1 minute that craziness is not going to ensue. It is. Prepare yourself with the second root. The second root is to root down in your worthiness. Once you discover reality and you're like, okay, if I invite so and so, if they come to stay with me, this is likely what's going to happen. I'm signing up for this. I'm going into this eyes wide open, Heidi. Okay, I'm not going in there like half cocked in a dreamland, like imagining shit and manifesting and lighting candles. I got my eyes wide open. I'm walking into the scenario. The second root is my worth. Do I want this? Is this experience that I'm creating, am I signing up for this? Is this worth it to me knowing the reality of the situation? Or is where's my worthiness at? How can I root down in my own value and make decisions from that place? I'm going to root in my values. So I know if I can't help it and I'm going into a situation, it's the in laws, and there's an alcoholic mother who you're the wife, you have all great intentions, and you sit down. And as soon as that alcoholic mom gets her second glass of wine, holy shit, the gloves are off. She starts making her snide comments and remarks and acting this and that. And you start seething and like, what you've got to have a plan in place for this with the people in your life that are here to support you. You look at your husband and you go, listen, we're going into the line of fire. We're going to the den of doom. All right. We're going to go to the den of doom with my mother-in-law here. I need my husband. I'm going to root that on my worth and say, I need to set up some parameters for myself so that when I get in there, when the shit hits the fan, I've got an umbrella. Okay. I know what I need to do, which for me, in many cases, when I'm around people that I know, hey, man, this is going to test me today. This is going to test me today. Then I say, what's a code word? My husband and I, in certain situations, have safe words. It used to be like banana pudding. We'd be at Christmas and I'd be like, you know what I really don't have enough of in my life? Banana pudding. And then he'd be like, oh shit, it's time to go. Okay. Well, maybe we can go get some, let's go see if we could get some banana pudding. And that's our cue to like go on a break and go hoolaying out of the house for a hot minute. Okay. I mean, how about you? Do you have a safe word? I could say to my husband, now my worth is like, I'm a highly sensitive person. Maybe you are too. What is that? Well, Dr. Elaine Aaron did this diagnostic a long time ago of something called an HSP, which is a highly sensitive person. And it's a person that takes in more than the average bear. You go into an environment and you see everything, you absorb not that some of you are empaths, and honestly, you need to work on that, because if you're taking on people's energy, that's not you've got to work harder. And being an empath isn't a badge of honor. It's something that you need to work on so that if you're called to be a healer and a helper and be in dark places, you know how to maintain your light even when it's pitch black. You don't go dark too with the darkness. Okay. And that's what I mean when I say, if you're rooted in your worthiness, you have a protective plan. I travel with my little bag of tricks. My little bag of tricks includes my beautiful playlist of songs, a journal, pens, markers, books that I love, earplugs, eye patches, meditation patches where the sound comes through and I can lay down little back holders and things that vibrate, you know what I mean? And make me feel good. I mean, different kind of shoes for hikes and walks, things that I need. Whose responsibility is that? If I'm rooted in my worthiness and I'm going into a little bit of hell over the holidays, whose responsibility is it to keep myself safe? Well, it's mine. I need to think about my vessel as a sacred womb, that I provide myself provision and protection. I provide myself provision and protection. I don't walk into a fucked up scenario and go save me, protect me to everybody else around me. They're crazier than you. How are they going to help you? You have to live inside of your own sacred womb, and you have to be prepared. Provision and protection. What's a womb do? It provides all the food, all the nourishment, all of the barriers, all of the safety and security. You are your own sacred womb. Prepare yourself. Take your nourishment with you. If you're going into an environment where you know there's nothing to eat and you're going to be upset because all you're going to have is like sugar and shit, and you're going to be on a serotonin crash, you're going to be shoving cookies in your face, take some nutrients with you. Pack a bag of nuts and, I mean, go foraging in the forest, honey. Go over to Trader Joe's. All right. And get yourself a little forest bag of goods that nourish your brain and make you feel good. All right. Not load up on alcohol so you can drown it out, and take a walk. And so root down in your worth. This is so good now. I'm forgetting what else I'm going to say. Okay. Root down in your reality. Oh, root down in your reality, root down in your worthiness. And then the next thing is root down in your identity. You are not a family therapist this week. Maybe you are. I don't listen, I know you're amazing. I work with so many bright heroes, doctors, lawyers, mediators, psychologists, therapists, coaches. None of those things are you this next 2 weeks of your Christmas holidays. You're not. Who are you? Susan, Heidi, Rob, Bob, Blake, Jake, Renee, Heather, Sharon. You're not therapist, life coach, mediator, shit show cleaner, peacemaker. Those are hats that you choose to take on in your family. And maybe you've been doing this a really long time, but I wonder what would happen for one season if you decided you were going to take off that hat and just be you. And that means that you don't always have to do the right thing, say the right thing, be there, put everybody else's needs above your own, make sure everybody, play therapist, do all the things. You don't have to do any of those things. You just get to show up and be in your bliss and joy. And when your bliss and joy is compromised, you go back into your sacred womb, and you put on your little headphones and you make magic happen and you take care of yourself. Now, how am I so good at telling you these things? Because, honey, I am you and you are me, and we are on this path together. And I did all of these things, including I was the one creating the chaos. Guilty as charged. Okay. So when I wasn't therapizing and fixing the chaos, I was creating it. Right. So many of us are on both sides of that spectrum. I'm asking you today to pull back, to spend this next holiday as if it were a sacred season of experimentation for you. And you're going to go into this holiday and thinking, I wonder what it'd be like if I rooted down in reality, number one. If I looked around and said, no more fantasy, I'm just going to look at things as they are. And then I can make informed decisions like, do I want this? Do I want to be here? Is this something I want to say yes to? If there's no fantasy in it, am I up for this? And maybe you might decide the minute you're wrapped up in reality that you ain't even going to go. You don't even want to invite that person now. You're like, oh, she's right. That shit's going to be bad if I invite them. So I better not. Okay. Whether again, it's potato slinging or intellectual combo that hurts. Upscale, downscale problems are still problems. Okay. Root down in your worth. Protect yourself. Provision and protection. You go into an environment, you are the one that carries your worth with you. You walk in, you put that crown on. Hold on, let me get it. All right. You put your crown on. Look at this. Look at this crown. This crown's pretty fabulous. Okay. You put your crown on and you say, if I was going to be the queen I am, what the hell? This thing's crooked. Okay. It's like my teeth on the bottom. If I was going to be the queen I am, how would I walk into this place? And how would I protect my domain and reign within my own kingdom, no matter what's going on around me? And then the last thing is, who am I? I am not yours. Unless you're paying me an awful shit ton of money on the holidays, I'm not going to sit there and therapize you for 4 days. I'm just not. I am not interested, honey. I am interested in having nice conversations, uplifting conversations, enjoying my time, being as free and light as possible, and enjoying every single minute. And when I'm not enjoying a minute with somebody's presence, I don't sit and suffer in silence. I make the awareness, this isn't working out. This doesn't feel too good. And I do what I need to do to get my ass out of there and protect myself. Okay. I want the same for you. Now, listen, maybe you're thinking, man, this is some ninja level skills, Hyde. I like I'm smelling what you're stepping in. I'm bagging what you're mowing. And I'm also picking up what you're laying down. I have created an addiction in the family, dysfunction in the family survival toolkit. It has everything you need. Understanding people, why they do what they do, how to say this when they say that, how to set a boundary. What is a boundary? How do I hold my boundary? How do I deal with psycho, crazy, manipulative, weird, gaslighting people? Well, I'm glad you asked. It's in the survival toolkit. Get your hot little hands on it and start it. And maybe when you're at the crazy place and you're like, I need some peace, that course is, you can listen to that from anywhere. It's a self-study. You take a little walk and in your little headphones, you put my voice in there and you come back down to sanity and peace and you get centered again. All right. You can find it at Heidi Rain, RAIN.com. All right. I love you. I hope you take excellent care of yourself. These are the tips for dealing with the weirdos, psychopaths, dysfunctional people, left to center, not the sharpest tool in the shed kind of people. And this is going to give you the tips that you need in order to have the life that you really want and deserve. Merry Christmas and ho, ho, ho. All right. I will see you later. Have a great day. Okay. Bye.